I love what I do. Like, I love it so much, but I didn't like who I was doing it for. I was promoting these brands and these businesses that didn't give a shit. I thought my life was over. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And life was not over. Spoiler alert. I feel like at that age, you feel like you think you know everything. Like, I am so worldly wise at 21. When you're just starting out, that is so hard. Oh, I'm actually not going to take that $5,000 client because the vibes are off. And work for good people, doing good things in the world, and have this gorgeous little ecosystem of magical things happening. I grabbed this man's face and I went, where do I know you from? Why did I act like that? Like I've never functioned as a human being before.
Hi, Molly. We're just going to roll with it. We're going to keep going.
Okay.
We're just blasting through. Cheers for getting wrecked with me. It's 10 a.m. on a Monday morning and we can't even start this properly. But yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So, please just give us a quick breakdown of who you are and what you do.
Okie dokie. Hello, I'm Molly. I run a communications agency called Effable. So we specialise in brand voice and storytelling, and we write impact reports as well. So it's all about finding the voice and the vibration. So it's the wordy side and the energy side of brands as well, which I'm fairly new to saying that out loud, actually. So
Okay.
it still feels a bit like woo, but that's a big part of my life. So outside of work, I also teach yoga. I do a lot of yoga. And that's a very small nutshell, I think.
Nice. What does Effable mean?
Effable means if something's able to be described in words. So if you say something is ineffable, it's like I haven't physically got the words for it. So it's the opposite to that.
Okay.
So we do words.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, we do words. Also, it is like, it feels quite a little bit cheeky. A lot of people ask about it and they're like, what? Effable? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, let me tell you.
It does give mystery.
Yeah, we like it.
Enigmatic.
Like a bit of intrigue.
So, communications agency. How long have you worked in communications for?
Oh my God. Being honest, it's the only realm I've ever worked in. So it must be, how old am I?
I can't answer that for you.
Oh, God, I've got enough grey hairs, I should know this. I'd say this will be the 13th year in it.
Okay.
So it's the only realm I've ever worked in, just in different guises, and then started Effable like maybe just under 3 years ago.
Oh, nice. How have you found it?
Honestly, it's the best decision, the best thing I've ever done. So the whole reason I wanted to go on my own was because I love what I do. Like, I love it so much, but I didn't like who I was doing it for. I was working in PR agencies and marketing agencies and sort of promoting these brands and these businesses that didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
really.
no, I get that.
And so I was like, I'll need to do this, but for people who I truly believe in, who I do want to help, who are like helping the world as well.
And one of the really cool things actually about Effable is you're B Corp, aren't you?
Yeah.
Big shout out to B Corp.
Yeah, so it's, oh gosh, just over a year, maybe coming up to 18 months certified now. So yeah, already looking at recertification, which
Yeah.
I need to mentally prepare myself for that.
It's intense, isn't it? Because I looked into it last year when I first set a big rep up, but you have to have been going for a year or have like at least a year's worth of accounts that you can show them.
You do. You can be a pending B Corp before that. So it's like saying like, my intentions are good, I just haven't got like the first set of financials to share yet. It is intense, and I guess it's intense for a reason, but again, like one of the best decisions I've made for the business, because it's just like that little nod of like, yeah, okay, I get, instead of going through the rigmarole of like, oh, I care about this, I care about that, which can sound a bit lip servicey, it's just like, well,
You backed it up with action.
there's a stamp to prove it. So yeah, good decision, good business decision. I recommend it. Like, I know it's an arduous process, but I do recommend it.
No, we're definitely going to do it, to be fair. I just need to actually make time in my life to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mine was like 11 p.m. on a Friday night in front of the laptop going through the VIA, like, what am I doing with my life? I'm going to get help for the recertification. Like, I think it's it's so easy to think I am, a quote unquote small business and service based, so it can't be that complicated. But there is a lot of wording in there that is like, I was Googling it because it's like, comes from America for like industry like spaces. So it's like trying to like translate it to your business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So going back then to comms, how did you fall into working into comms?
I quite literally fell into it, like literally head first. So I did some work experience at Radio Stoke many, many, many years ago. And then when I went to college, I had failed all of my A-levels, like, spectacularly, and I thought my life was over.
They do say that though, don't they? It's like, oh, if you don't knuckle down, you're going to be stacking shelves in Morrison's.
Genuinely. And I was like, I thought my life was over. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And this is like 16, 17, and it's like... life was not over, spoiler alert. And then I saw there was a BTEC in radio production at Stoke College, and I was like, I'm just going to go and do that, stuff it. And from there, I started working at Signal Radio. I literally just made myself a total nuisance. I wouldn't leave anybody alone. I was like, let me produce the breakfast show. And they were like, well, you can help produce the breakfast show if you want. And I got like probably the best piece of advice I have ever gotten in my life from Perry, who used to host the breakfast show.
Okay.
He was like, make yourself indispensable.
I like that.
And I was like, that is such good advice. And that's like really stuck with me over the last 13 years. Yeah, and I fell into it from there. I just put myself in spaces I had absolutely no business being in, and I was like, can I help with this? Can I help with that? And stayed there for 6 years, got, a full-time job there. And that was my first full-time job. Like, what a cool first full-time job.
That is a really cool first full-time job. The fact that you actually stuck it for 6 years as well, though, because most people don't. I've never had a job longer than 18 months.
I mean, I had so many different jobs there. I worked in so many different departments. Like, I produced a radio show. I went to Florida to produce a radio show for a competition. Then I worked in the promotions team. And then I did like a 6-month stint in the sales team as well. And I had to ask the sales manager just to move me back. I was like, I hate it. I'm terrible at this.
But to be fair though, I think if you've worked in sales as a marketeer or a comms person, you're a much better marketeer afterwards. Yes. Because the amount of people that I've interviewed for roles or I've kind of come up with alongside when I've been in an agency and they've worked in-house, and they have all these amazing ideas but no commercial awareness. Yeah. It's just you sat there going,
That's so true because it was such a tough 6 months, and I was like, oh my God, it completely went against my nature of being quote unquote salesy. But if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be able to run Effable now, because I was doing sales in a sidestep way on the promotions team, but I'd always got a salesperson with me. Yeah. So it was they'd talk about the money. I was like, here are all these wonderful ideas, and they'd be like, so it's £10 million, and they'd be like, okay. Whereas having that awareness and being able to have those conversations.
It's the ability to have the awkward conversations and get things over the line. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why sales is really, really hard because especially in a B2B setting, most people come to you and they approach you because they're relatively interested in the brand anyway. But you still got to iron out all the details and actually get them involved with it. Whereas I guess my exposure was actually cold calling people.
Oh my gosh.
Hated it. It was in recruitment and it was literally was this 21-year-old kid ringing people
fire.
Yeah, literally please don't put the phone down on me.
please just take the pitch.
You got any jobs? My manager sat right next to me. I remember once, literally I'd forgotten to ask a question and he just went, ring them back and press read on my phone, and I had to do it.
Oh my gosh.
It was horrible.
Oh, that is brutal. But will have massively shaped who you are as a person, as an agency owner.
Pretty much.
That's really a lot of trauma to go with it. But
I mean, I don't cold call people now, but
no, God, no.
I just couldn't think of anything worse. But I also think as a marketing agency, don't get me wrong, if times are hard, you've got to do what you've got to do. But if you're out cold calling people in your marketing agency, it just says that you're not a good marketing agency.
Something tells me something's a little off here. Yeah, 100%. But it's such a good skill to have, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And even from being able to ask what a budget is, and like,
Yes.
you know, and give them that time and space to answer. And then, you know, when you're pitching something, being able to talk about the money instead of just like,
I think as
shoving it
well,
under the carpet.
like, I guess I really liked what you said about like kind of bringing the energy to brands and stuff. And I think like one of the things that like does well for Big Rep is I'm not a pushy salesperson. I'm very like detached from the process in the sense of like, this is it. Like if you want to work with us, this is how we work. Like it's kind of on you. I'm not going to chase.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want to work with people where I've had to chase them, because I don't want that energy of that push energy, because it makes it so much harder. And it's like if you've got to convince somebody to work with you, then that is not a strong foundation for a relationship.
No.
It's like if you're dating someone, it's like, please date me. You're like, oh, got the ick.
Oh God. Talking about dating, so on your application form to come on the podcast, you shared one of your embarrassing stories was you once dated a client.
I did. It was highly embarrassing, and I'd never do it again. It was a terrible decision.
Was this when you were Effable or no?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. No, I am older, wiser, a little bit wiser anyway to do that. I think because it's all on my head now. It's like, oh. Yeah, it was when I worked at Signal, actually.
Oh,
I think I can say I don't work there anymore, so it's fine.
It sounds like it was a while ago. So.
It is a while ago. I was young, I was foolish, and I dated a lot of questionable people there, actually. I dated somebody who worked there as well. Not at the same
you didn't
time.
shit where you at, did you?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, it was, oh my God, it was the worst experience of my life. It was not it's not fun.
Okay, I won't pry anymore. Oh God, but no, I do get that. That's one thing that I really try and keep separate. And I've never dated a client, but I've dated people that have then wanted to become clients, and it's been a bit like,
that's weird, isn't it? It's
it
like,
is, yeah. It's
get
like
back in your box.
Yeah, I don't like it. I really don't. And it's also like, are you dating me for me, or just because you want like a discount on your marketing? Like,
Yeah.
what's the deal here?
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I don't recommend dating a client. I would never do that again. It was, I got in trouble. I got told off. But like, also, how old would I have been at the time? I would have probably been about 21 at the time.
How old was the client?
He would have been about 26.
Okay, so we're not talking like Jimmy Savile then.
No, but the person who I dated at work, I was 19 and he was 40.
Oh wow, that is a bit Harvey Weinstein.
That's a bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, the client, oh my God, yeah, it just wasn't a good experience, and I definitely got a slap on the wrist for it. And also, like, I feel like at that age, you feel like you think you know everything. Like, I am so worldly wise at 21 in my little business casual suit at work. Like, look at me. And it's like, I didn't know anything.
Oh God. No, to be fair, I feel like that's probably the sort of thing though where you would have gone in like at 21 being like, look at me, I'm dating a client.
Genuinely. And everyone was like, not cool. I was like,
abort mission. Someone give this kid a reality check.
Genuinely. My manager was like, Also, like, it happened and it came out in like a really sort of just like not clean kind of way.
Oh no.
And I'd got a week off, like, booked straight after. So we'd got like a huge awards night, and it came out sort of at the awards night that we were sort of dating because he was there. And then I'd got a week off straight after, and this rumour went around the entire building that I'd been suspended for dating a client.
Oh God.
And I know it wasn't that deep, it wasn't that serious, but I was like texting everybody like, I'm just on annual leave.
To clarify, doing my own crisis comms.
Genuinely. Oh.
So another thing then that was also on your application, you mentioned that you lost 3K pretty early on.
Oh God, yeah, I'd forgot about that. Oh God. Yeah. Basically, I had got it in my head that I was going to be this like full service one-woman band marketing agency, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do PR for people. I'm going to do marketing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And like when you start out, you kind of...
It's hard to focus, isn't it?
It is.
Because I think like you almost want to kind of like, it's not like chucking mud at the wall and seeing what sticks, but
It kind of is.
Yeah, but everyone's telling you to niche, and it's just like, I've got a mortgage
to what?
to pay.
Niche to what?
Yeah, like I have bills.
So I was like in that situation where I was like, I'm just gonna like do a bit of everything and like figure it out as I go. And like genuinely, it's taken me sort of 3 years to feel like really solid in like what Effable offers and like what it does. And I'm like, I'm so confident in that now. But like I was like, well, I had an inquiry off someone and they wanted PR, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's absolutely fine. Done it a million times before. I was like, I need to buy Agility. I need to get some PR software. So I signed up for Agility blindly. It was $3,000 for the year, and I was like, yeah, this is it. Like PR is going to be like a really cool part of it. They were the only PR client, and they were paying me like, oh, bless it, she's so lovely. I still love her to this day, but she was paying me like £500 a month at the time. So I was like, oh God. And it wasn't like I hadn't got a contract for it or anything. So it was just like rolling monthly contract. And like, she was like, I don't know where, if PR is like where I need to spend the money. So I was still saddled with this Agility membership. Try to farm it out to any other PR freelancer. And I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I just had to let it go. Think, you know what?
Yeah.
I will wave goodbye to £3,000.
Yeah.
It'll come back to me. University, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes you literally just have to, don't you? I mean,
my God, yeah.
in terms of like, I'm trying to like empathise with you in the sense of like, what have I wasted money on? But like, I'm one of those people where it's like I spend money to make money.
Yeah.
So like,
and I am as well. So I was like, you know, no qualms spending it. But then I was like, shit, I've got no PR clients, and I actually don't love doing PR.
Yeah, that's an issue.
I don't even want to replace the client really, because at that point I was like, I kind of know what I want us to do, and it's not that.
No, but it's interesting you say though that you're kind of like just getting into year 3 and you're just starting to feel comfortable. Like,
oh my God,
with what you're doing. But I think as well, like the first kind of like, I've got it in my head that the first 3 to 5 years of this business, I'm just collecting data.
Yeah.
Like see what we enjoy doing, what actually is profitable as a service. Because like we've had some things where like we've kind of done it and it's worked well, but then I've just priced it completely wrong because things take so much longer than you actually think it is.
So much longer.
And it's usually because of like, in the nicest way possible, because of the client not getting back to you. And it's like, I really can't deal with people that don't make decisions.
I'm the same. And like, God, I was pricing something. It was like a service. It's like a core thing that we offer. And I was pricing it like, so I freelanced before going to being a limited company with Effable.
Okay.
So it's a very different dynamic. And I found that sort of culture shift really, really difficult to get out of the head of being a freelancer and into the head of being an agency owner.
Yeah.
Really struggled with that. And luckily had some like really good mentors around me who were so generous with like their time and their resource and knowledge. It was just amazing. But I was basically charging £1,800 for something that it was less than minimum wage, less than minimum wage for the time I was putting in. It was like a full brand voice package. So now like the same thing, you get more with it now because it's sort of a different service for different people. But I was working myself into the ground, burning myself out so people could have this for £1,800. And like, really, it's more like 10, 15 grand I should be charging for it. And it's like but then like trying not to feel like a dick charging that much money for stuff. Quote unquote that much money, you know.
With like anything creative though, because like I've worked in like agencies where like they'll produce websites and stuff, and even though it's not tangible, like it is something tangible.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like when you're doing like value propositions and stuff like that, which I imagine is probably quite a lot of the work that you do. Like we do it, but more so from like a kind of like a sales aspect. Whereas like if you're creating an entire brand voice and really putting a lot into it, people don't understand how much work goes into a value proposition that literally is like, it can be a paragraph.
Genuinely. And like, I mean, I feel really lucky now that the people who I work with aren't the sort of people who say this, but it's like, oh, it's just a sentence, or can you just do that? And it's like, well, for me to get to a sentence, I need to do so much to then whittle it down. So yeah, a lot of money lost in that sense along the way in terms of working for £3.50, but we overcome that.
At least you can get a meal deal from Tesco.
Yes, exactly. Grateful.
I will still eat.
Oh my gosh, crazy. Crazy.
So talk to me then about Effable and some of the clients that you work with. What draws you to your clients?
The energy of them. I went through this whole process of like trying to put together this client questionnaire of like, oh, do they tick these boxes? Do they tick that? And then I was like, do I only work with B Corps? And it's really not that straightforward, because it's what draws me to a client is their physical energy and how they view the world.
Okay.
So I am deeply connected to nature and like planet we call home, like hugely into that. So for somebody to match my values and energy in terms of basically leaving the world better than we found it, that is it in a nutshell. But they have to be actually walking the walk instead of just saying that, because anybody could be like, oh yeah, we definitely want to leave the world better than we found it. And, you know, people can just say that. So it's like the actions speak louder than words side of thing. But genuinely, it's just a gut feeling, which when you're just starting out, that is so hard to be like, oh, I'm actually not going to take that $5,000 client because the vibes are off. And like, you sound like such a knob saying that, but
the vibes are off are definitely a thing, though.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've just pulled out of a house sale because the vibes were off.
Yeah, but fair.
And I'm like,
You
I
can't
can't explain it more than that.
Well, you'd be living there every day, and if you're like not vibing where you're literally going home every single day, like you're gonna feel shit.
Yeah, exactly. So quite literally, the client sort of selection process is, are the vibes off? Do the vibes match? Like, and that's the most important thing. And I think like I've spent so long like working with clients and developing client relationships now, like genuinely over a decade. And if that sort of vibe and that energy isn't where it should be, it's so much more difficult. Like you spend more time on it, more energy, you're second guessing what they're thinking because you're not in sync with each other. So it's like I tried niching back to niching into like wellness, because like I love that area and like I know a lot about it. I live my life in that realm. But I was like, even that doesn't feel right. So there's no like industry, there's no sector. It's not just B Corps. It's just nice people doing nice things in the world.
Which is fair. Like, I think it is really valuable, I think, when you start looking at it like that. One of mine is like, would I want to go to the pub with this person? Like, that's a really big one. And like, actually, I signed our biggest client over a gin at the pub.
I love that. I love that so much.
It's just, I think it's like, with being called big reputation, we get a lot of people coming to us like, I want a big reputation. And it's like, well, what are you doing to earn it?
Exactly.
And it's like, I guess it is that vibes thing where it's like, we don't want to just like kind of like put people on these like, I guess like pedestals or like give them a platform when actually like they're not doing anything to make their industry better.
Yeah.
And we're similar, but we've kind of found like we work with a lot of manufacturing companies, that are trying to do things much more sustainably. A lot of construction companies who are also either trying to fight their industry and make it a better place, and then a few like professional services companies. We've got a digital forensics company as well that's doing really great things and trying to make the world a better place, but all of them are trying to make the world a better place in whatever way they're doing it. And then we're getting rid of clients that are saying it and then not actually matching it.
Yeah.
And it's a really difficult conversation to have.
It is, isn't it? It's so hard. But I feel like if you don't have that conversation and you ignore that gut feeling, I've ignored my gut feeling so many times and it's always come back to bite me in the arse. Like, I don't know, are you into human design?
I've heard of it. I get this thing. All I know is that I'm a Pisces and I'm a Cancer moon and I'm a Virgo rising. Okay. That's like me and astrology and spirituality in a nutshell.
We need to find out your human design.
I'm a life path 1.
Oh, okay. Okay. We're collecting the data. We're collecting it in.
I don't know what any of it means. Also, I'm like, my thing with astrology was like, I don't think I'm a very good Pisces because apparently Pisces cry all the time.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't cry. I think I'm like
maybe you need to cry.
Maybe I do. I think I'm emotionally sensitive.
This is now a therapy session.
Well, we've talked about relationships. God.
Yeah, we won't take you into the relationships.
I did actually cry the other day, to be fair. Not because of anything to do with like relationships or anything. That was the first time I cried in a long time.
Oh God, I cry all the time. Like honestly, all the time. I just can't help it. Just have a little weep at my desk. But we need to find out your human design. So I am a generator in human design, but so there's like 5 different ones you can be, and it's based on astrology. But you have how you make decisions.
Okay.
And like also like places that you feel like most creative and most at home. So like my creative place is a kitchen.
Okay.
But it's not like necessarily a kitchen in the traditional sense. It's that sort of community hustle and bustle. So like I hate being in the office on my own. Like honestly, I could literally tear my hair out. So it's like after this, I'm gonna go sit in bed and do some work because I'll be surrounded by people.
Okay.
But how I make decisions is from my gut.
Yeah.
So if I ignore that, that's like danger zone.
Okay.
But I have ignored that so many times, particularly with like clients that I'm like, oh God, no, they feel like they're going to be difficult. And I'm like, no, let's get the money in, let's do that. And it's always shit.
No, I get that. I think like the thing is as well though, I think sometimes like it's a fine line between like, is this my gut telling me no, or is it just my comfort zone holding on a little bit too tight?
And it's so hard to get that definition because it's like, obviously our bodies want to keep us safe.
Yeah.
But if we're always safe, then we're never going to sort of teeter out to the comfort zone and try something new. Yeah. It's exhausting trying to work out which one you're feeling.
Yeah, no, I get that. But it's also like, it depends on the day sometimes.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Completely.
I think that's why I don't like people that don't make decisions quickly, because I'm like, I know what I'm like. Like one day I'd be like really gung-ho for something. The next day I'm like, I'm not really asked about that anymore.
Yeah.
Unless it's something that I'm really, truly passionate about. So I'm just like, I'll just make a decision and live with it.
Yeah.
I think it was like Barack Obama where he said something like, if you're 51% sure, just like commit to it.
I love that. And that's all you need, isn't it? You just need the scale to and like so you can crack
you're
on.
committed then, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you might as well just ride the wave.
Love that. Oh, what a gorgeous little quote. Oh, love it. Isn't it weird how like you have to full name him like Barack Obama?
Yeah,
like, you're
but
like, oh, I was
Trump.
talking to Barack. Like it doesn't flow, does it? Barack Obama.
Oh, bloody hell. But you wouldn't do it with Trump though, would you? It's just like Trump.
Justified. Oh, never listened to the news, and I was listening to the news this morning, and it was like basically like Trump has ruined everything. And I was like, I'm just gonna turn it off and carry on driving.
I don't listen to the news because again, it's like that whole thing where it's just so fucking miserable.
Genuinely,
yes.
And like I like to stay up here. Like I will honestly. That sort of energy level, if anything is going to drag me down, I'm like, no, like fighting it off, like, let me go. And like, even like friends like who have lost some along the way because I'm like, I want to be vibing up here. And if you're going to bring me down over like, obviously there's some like terrible things in life that you need to bring the vibe down for, fully appreciate that. But if you're like moaning about your manager and like how much you hate your job, but you won't leave it, sorry.
Yes.
I can't deal with it.
I think it's like, anything that I'm one of those people where it's like if you're not changing something, you're choosing it 100%. And it's like I think it really gets to me because I'm one of those people where it's like I can put up with things to a certain extent, but then I'm just like I can't be bothered with this anymore. Mm-hmm. Like you're pissing me off, that's pissing me off. Like I'm done.
Genuinely, like if you're not gonna do, I'll listen to you. I will offer solutions and I'll offer advice. I'll offer an ear if you need that. But if you're not going to ultimately make a decision to change that, I can't carry on.
No.
I can't listen to the same story 20 times if you're not going to do something about it.
I think that's why I've had so many jobs, because the second that I started getting like disillusioned with one thing, I was like, I'm bored of this now. Mm-hmm. Like I just can't do it. And I think in a way that's why like I love running my own business, because like if I don't like something, I just change it.
Yeah.
It's like you're not stuck there like, what's this person think of me? Am I going to get a pay rise in my next annual appraisal? And it's like the feeling that someone can literally put like a monetary worth on you really icks me out.
Same. And it's like, I mean, I think everything's made up anyway. Like I'm walking around Tesco like someone's made all of this up. So like me saying in a meeting with a manager and they're like, oh, so if you tick these boxes, I'm like, what boxes? Like you mad? Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
One job that I had, we literally had like, we were kind of, what was it? you know, there's like brand value type things, and we were like marked against them, and they were like, I don't think you're quite exceeding expectations on this one, so I'm going to put meeting expectations. I was like, it was something really stupid as well, like we care, and I was like, so you're basically saying that like I care the appropriate amount, like not too much, like how are we doing this?
That?
Like, can we have some like factual kind of like ramifications of this, because I have no fucking clue what you're saying.
That's insane, isn't it? And that's like another reason. So this year I really want to grow Effable, so it's got employees rather than working with freelancers.
Yeah.
And that's like one of my biggest drivers for growing the company is I want to create somewhere where people want to come to work and they feel valued, and there's not absolute bullshit stuff like that they have to adhere to. It's like, are you doing what I've employed you to do? Are you a kind person? That's kind of all there is to it. Like, and why are we hauling people in, like trying to mark them against brand values, like the tiny little machines? Like, what?
It's
crazy.
I had ones. You laugh at this. They were like, "Oh, you just look really bored in meetings." And it's like, because all you're doing is chatting about shit. You're not talking about things that were getting done.
Yeah.
And like, I get that I've genuinely had to learn, like, you need to go into these meetings and have a bit of small talk. But when like you sat there and you're the only girl and they're talking about football,
What do they expect of you?
Yeah.
Like, what do they expect? Oh, the small talk. Oh God, that's the one thing. I do really miss being part of a proper team. Like, I do miss that. And like, I'm also like accepting of the fact that when Effable has got physical employees rather than just freelancers, the dynamic will still be different because I am the boss of the company. But like, one thing that I do not miss is the small talk. Because like, I'm like, I'm in a meeting, let's talk about it. And I think people like misconstrue that as like, I don't care, or like, I've got no emotion. And like, I've almost had to learn small talk in that context. So I seem polite, but it's like, I've got it in my head what we're going to talk about. So can we just talk about it? And then like, we can probably have small talk after once I've got it.
At the pub. Literally.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. It's just like, I think it is one of those as well, because like when you go into a meeting and stuff, like I'm pretty organised, to be fair. Like I go with an agenda, like everything's sorted, and I just want to like close that part of my brain down, and then I can relax into small talk.
Yes,
and
rather than doing the relaxy bit first, and then you've got to get back into so what was on the agenda?
Yeah, it's
so jarring.
Yeah. It's like you're just there vibing with someone about like, oh, one client was telling me how like they bought this really nice rug once from, I think it was like a Rigi Bianchi, and it was like they got dog shit on it. And it was like, and back to your marketing.
Got whiplash. Genuinely, I'm so glad you said that, because like honestly, I feel weird for thinking like that, and I'm like, oh gosh. And I was in a client meeting, it was either Thursday or Friday, and I was like, I thought the small talk bit had ended, so I was like, so, and then she was like, oh, I did want to just ask you how the house move's going, and I was like, oh, I love her, she's gorgeous, like beautiful client to work with, but I was like, I don't know what's happening.
But the thing is, though,
let me talk about work.
I think it's because like we work in comms, and it's like if we can't communicate effectively in a meeting,
it's so stressful.
How are we gonna get your comms right? It's like, you know, like when you see those people like that have like kind of just started posting on LinkedIn and they can't create a cohesive post.
Yeah.
And it's like they start off with a point. And like in my head I'm just like, okay, closure. Like I need closure on this. Like what's the point in it? It's like they start talking about like this one question that I always get asked as a business owner is, and then they end it and it's like something about like what they bought from Tesco the other day.
Like, oh, that was a rough ride.
It's like, but what do you always get asked? And then I'm thinking about that for the rest of the day then. And it's living rent free in my head because I've not got closure on it.
I messaged it and I'm like, excuse me, just a quick one. Sorry to bother you. Oh, I know what you mean. It's very stressful. Very, very stressful.
I just can't deal with it. And then as well, like, I think because it throws me off, like, I leave that meeting and I just feel like, what just happened?
Who am I? Where am I? What do I do? Yeah.
And it ruins my day.
Yeah, same. I'm so easily derailed as well. I am by the slightest thing. So I do have to like really like try and keep it on the straight and narrow, because like, oh my God, if my mind wanders, like I then physically wander, and it's like, oh my God, I'm not in my desk. I wrote my car off actually this time last year because I'd wandered and I just wasn't in my desk. So that was the universe telling me to stay in one place. It was like, girl, sit down, do the work, stop wandering.
Oh God,
ridiculous.
I get a thing, to be fair, where like I can't sit still for more than about an hour.
Same.
Unless I'm having a conversation like this. Like, that's absolutely fine. To be fair, I think an hour's like being generous. It's like 20 minutes. I just have to get up.
Yeah.
Like, I just cannot sit still.
Yeah. Unless I'm like super engrossed in something, and like I had it a couple of weeks ago. I did like a co-working session at Bear. I'm not sponsored by Bear. I just really like their coffee. If they want to sponsor me, that'd be great, because I'm always in there. I was in the Stone one doing like a co-working session with a couple of friends, and I genuinely didn't move for 4 hours, and I was like, who is she? She is so hardworking. She is so focused. Because normally I'm like, right, okay, I need to stretch my legs. I need to go for a walk. Like, do I need a wee? Do I need a glass of water? Like, and also like in terms of, I think when you do a creative job, like sitting down looking at a screen is not where you have your ideas.
It's not creative.
Not at all. No, like let me get out in nature. Have you seen that meme where it's like, boss, it's sunny outside. Can I finish early and go play? That's me, but I'm the boss and I'm like, I'm going to play. See you later. Then I'm working at 8 o'clock at night, like, oh God, shouldn't have gone out and played.
To be fair though, like I actually get quite a lot of work done at night.
Same.
And I think it's because like my body and my mind are kind of like on the same level playing field at that point.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the day either like my body wants to get up and move or my mind's restless.
Yes.
But then I think it's like when you get to a point and it's like you start getting slightly tired, it hits you and it's just like, I just want to work now.
Genuinely. Like, I'm quite good in the morning, and like, I really try and start my day with some form of exercise, which I know this is dead boring, but exercising and drinking the right amount of water, it fucking works. Like, who'd have
It's
thought?
life-changing.
It's disgusting, isn't it? Like, honestly, I honestly made this realisation probably only towards the end of last year. Like, I started running last year, and then like towards the end of the year, I started doing like other things as well. And I was like, I feel so much better. Like, I'm not drinking alcohol. I'm exercising. I'm drinking water. I'm eating the right foods and not like McDonald's 10 times a week. Like, how boring that I feel better. And early nights, it's like...
Early nights is a game changer as well.
Oh,
I'm asleep most nights now by like 10 o'clock, but I'm up like pretty much every morning at like 5:30, 6.
Same. Oh, we've got the same sleep schedule.
That's cute.
Isn't it?
I don't do yoga though. That is one thing. I can do Pilates, but I can't do yoga. Whenever I go in, I get more stressed than like when I come out.
Honestly, I think it depends what type of yoga you do, because like I went to a class last week. I won't say where it was, but it was like, I was like, oh, try a new studio, try a new class. This is really exciting. It said it was Vinyasa yoga, so I was like, yes, I'm gonna sweat. And it was so slow, and like my mind was just like, oh, I need to do that when I get in. I need to do that. Oh no, okay, so tomorrow I've got to do this, that, and the other. Like I haven't ironed my shirt for tomorrow. Like, and it was just like so busy. Whereas like I go to Ashtanga yoga, which is so hard, and like you cannot physically think of a single other thing when you do it.
Yeah, I think that was like, because I was doing Reformer Pilates and that was, painful.
Yeah, it's stressful in a whole other realm.
Yeah. Literally torture. But no, I literally, so I run and I go to the gym and then I'll do like kind of, like kind of circuit classes, that sort of thing. Someone said to me the other day, they were like, oh, have you ever tried CrossFit? And I was just like, no.
I keep seeing High Rocks, and like I've got it in my head that I'd be I've got a slip disc, so I'd be shit at it. Like, do not let me go and do High Rocks. But I keep seeing it, and do you know when you're like, I could do that in an hour.
Me and my PT are going to sign up for one towards the end of this year. That's why I've started running, because apparently you need to be able to run around like 10k. I couldn't run 1k at the start of this year. I can do 2.5 now. So
yay! I love
progress.
that.
And so I've been doing that, but I quite like it because it's still relatively systematic.
Yeah.
Like you run 1k, then you do one exercise, run 1k, do another exercise.
Yeah.
Whereas like there's something about CrossFit where it's just like, it just seems like if you've got ADHD, you'd love it.
Yeah,
And
it looks chaotic.
Yeah.
But not the sort of chaos that I'd like.
No, I think I'm more like on the probably tism side of
Yeah.
like, I like it to have some semblance of a routine.
I don't want the chaos, I just want a tiny bit of order, please.
Just give me structure. Like Monica off Friends.
Yeah. Gosh, that's interesting that you like structuring you run your own business though, because I feel like running my own business, I do thrive in the chaos of it.
Do you think?
Yeah.
That is quite weird, actually. I think, to be fair, actually, going back to like pieces of advice, one of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given, I wouldn't really call it advice, it was more of like a question posed to me. It was, is this going to be a lifestyle business or a business? And like, I treat this as a business. So we have set working hours, we have
that's
client contact
life-changing.
hours. Yeah. Because it made me go into it. You know how you were saying like you really struggled with the mindset shift of like going from freelancing to being an agency owner? All I've ever known is being employed. I've never done freelance work.
Okay.
So even when I first started this, it was like, no, it's big reputation. It's separate from me. It's a business. Like, it is what it is. Like, so yeah, we literally have like client contact hours. It doesn't mean that I'm working like all those hours, but I'm at least available from clients between like 8:30 and 5:30, like Monday to Friday. And I do it because like I do like structure, and we structure.
I think I'd benefit from that, because like that, honestly, you saying that, is it a lifestyle business or a business?
Yeah.
I've genuinely, probably up until 2 months ago, I'm going to say, it was very much a lifestyle business. It was something that sort of provided me with an income, and, you know, which I earn more money now. Slight detour. I earn more money now than I've ever earned, but trying to get a mortgage, they're like, oh, you're self-employed. And I'm like, but I earn more money. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But, oh my God, I've lost my train of thought. No, structure. Oh, the irony. Hilarious. But I sort of changed my mindset when I decided it was going to be an agency, that, well, actually, I do need that structure. And if I want other people to come and work for me, like, they need to have faith in that structure. So I'm like trying to change it. I hadn't made the connection in my mind, but to more of a business rather than a lifestyle business. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something to ponder today.
It's one of those where it's like, I mean, how it kind of comes into my personal life. So I literally just stopped dating someone because like they were like, you have your own business, you can be flexible. And I was like, don't you think it works like that? I have a business that pays for my mortgage, someone else's mortgage, and someone who's saving for a house.
Yeah.
So like actually,
I'm not that flexible.
No, I'm not that flexible. And you like fucking me about on a Sunday and not giving me a time that you're gonna see me is like not okay.
That in itself is disgusting.
It is disgusting.
Time for it.
No, I haven't either.
No.
But it was the expectation, and they literally said to me like, it's okay for you. You have a business, so you can be flexible. Bearing in mind they're like trying to start a business too. It's like, what do you think I do? Like the 4-hour work week where I sit on a beach all week. It's like, don't you think so? I'm working like 70, 80
harder than I've
hours.
ever worked before.
Literally, and now
that's
like,
so disrespectful.
it is really disrespectful. But I think like a lot of people that like want a business, like they'd see it as like, yes, it is incredible if you want a lifestyle business, but like actually it's like I have more responsibility than I've ever had.
God, yeah.
Like if this goes wrong, like I've let all my clients down. I'm not trying to scare you, but like.
But it is. It's a big responsibility,
100%,
isn't it?
yeah.
Being responsible for other people's livelihoods.
But
like,
they're trusting you with that.
Yeah.
And it's like, so actually like, it's good that you have an element of structure, I think, when you start taking on the pressures of like building people in.
Definitely.
But also as well, like I know some of my clients have had this, and I've been lucky enough to see some of them grow into like multi-million-pound companies, which is incredible for them. But they've now got to a point where like they've been operating as like small family-owned businesses, where they'd let like their employees go off to the football whenever they felt like it. And it's now like, well, actually, like, we've got bigger pressures. Like, we're a much bigger company. And this culture shift, like, is so different. Whereas, like, I say to our team, like, I literally have 2 rules. Like, you get the work done to the standard that, like, I think is, like, acceptable, which is high. And you get it done on time. We do not miss deadlines. Other than that, don't really care.
Yeah.
Like,
that's my exact attitude. And, like, because I've been thinking about, like, sort of... It's different, isn't it? Because when you work with freelancers, like they're not. I've been a freelancer, you're not fully in anything, which is fine. That's part of the luxury of it. But when you're employed by someone, you're bought into the vision, the mission, like you're part of this sort of like collective thing. So like me looking for people to sort of join the team in that respect, I'm exactly the same, that like as long as it's done on time and done well, if that means you're going to yoga at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, I don't care, because I would have loved to have worked somewhere where I had that. It is flexibility, but it's also having that trust in people as well that they're going to get it done.
I think as well, like, we don't have like set working hours for the company. We have client contact hours.
Yeah.
And the reason that I do that is because like I try and do it to protect the team. And I also try and like, I'm so much more strict now. When I first started this business, if a client messaged me at 11:30 at night, I'd probably reply.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I'm like, absolutely not, because the second I start replying to that, my team is going to think that I expect them to do that as well, and I'm not putting that level of pressure on them.
Exactly. And I think once you've given an inch, even if they're the nicest client in the world, once you've given an inch, they will take a mile, because it's human nature, because it's then expected that you will reply on a Sunday, reply at 11:30 at night. And it's like, I used to give everyone my phone number. Everyone would just have my personal phone number. And it's like only recently that I've sort of explored having a business WhatsApp instead of a personal one, because it's like, you know, I don't want to be messaging someone who I'm dating and messaging a client like back to back, actually.
Oh God, could you imagine? If
Recipe for disaster. No, let's not go there. Oh. Disgusting.
Depends what you're messaging.
It's not worth thinking about.
Oh, I'm getting willing to sign up for here.
Way more. Going above and beyond.
Give that girl a bonus. It's like, give her, she works hard for the money.
She does. Let's re-sign. Can we double the budget?
Oh God. No, I do need to do that, to be fair, because at the minute I'm at the stage where it's like, I've just got one phone.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like, even things like just having like separate socials for like the business and yourself is like really...
It's massive. Yeah. Although I found that really confusing, because I was like, but it's me. So say stuff on my personal one, but then I've got a business one, and then I was like neglecting one and not, oh God, and I'm like, I shouldn't be this stressed. It's social media. Like, get over it.
It's not that deep.
It's not that deep. Yeah. I feel like my own marketing always falls to the bottom of the pile, but like my New Year's resolution was to put the business as the biggest client.
Yeah.
So like treat it as the highest spending client, and that's non-negotiable now, which
we've
4 weeks
started
in
doing
doing
that.
really, really well.
We've started doing that as well, to be fair. And even I think it's more like with ours, because like we do a lot of content and stuff, I've kind of done it so that we can experiment with ours.
I love that.
So like we don't take it too seriously. Obviously, like there's an element of like, yes, it does have to be polished, and I do hold it to a high standard because of what we do. But like, I think we should be able to experiment, especially on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff.
Fun.
Yeah. And it's just like, because that's what it was. Like I started, I guess, like I fell from sales into social media, and purely because like I killed it on LinkedIn. Like I just really enjoyed doing it, and that's how I got most of my leads through.
Oh, amazing.
And I just always really enjoyed it. I think if you've got like an element of personality and you can laugh at yourself, like you'll always do well on social media.
Yeah,
it's when
key element.
Although to be fair, recently, I don't know how you feel about this, I keep having conversations with people about LinkedIn, because I think since they brought in ChatGPT and like the artificial intelligence side things, people like the platform has just got so shit.
Honestly,
it's
but
not
you can,
fun anymore.
Also, you can spot it a mile off. Like, and I'm like, do these people know how obvious this is? And also, like the automated emails that they've clearly just scraped LinkedIn. Yeah. So my company name on LinkedIn is Effable, and then sort of B Corp. Mm-hmm. So if I get any email that's got Effable in capital letters, then B Corp, I know you've scraped it, because we all know that's not the business's name. And I literally had one this morning, and it was like, hey Molly, we notice you're the founder of Effable B Corp, and you are based in Staffordshire, and you help brands with their voice. and work with purpose-driven businesses. We're actually working with a number of similar businesses in this area and location. And I'm like, oh, tell me more about these businesses because I would love to meet them.
Who's my
And it's
competition?
like, come on, like, I just think I actually do some cold email outreach purely because I feel like we're not at the stage where it's big enough. Like, the absolute dream is to be known for, there's a service that we offer called brand knowing.
Yeah.
So it's to be known for brand knowing. So
Okay.
brand knowing encompasses the foundations of the business, so the mission, the vision, the values, and the purpose, and getting that proposition feeling really, really tight. Then the next layer of it is brand voice, so they know who they are, then they know how they speak and what they say. And then the third element is the brand story to it, so they know what they stand for, how they begin to communicate that, like what like worldviews does the business have a standpoint on, and like who are they talking to. So that's like brand knowing as like as a entity.
Okay.
So it's to be known for brand knowing is the goal, and then we do impact reporting as well, which is way more fun than it sounds. But yeah, with the cold email outreach, it's more brands I genuinely love and admire, of me just being like, hey, I just really love what you do, blah, 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 blah. This is what I do if you ever want to connect. And it's like, I used to feel really icky doing that and like really almost like ashamed, like, oh, this is this really icky thing I'm doing. But it's like, well, how on earth are they going to know that Effable even exists if I don't do that?
Yeah.
Particularly if they don't use LinkedIn, which a lot of the people who I'm trying to speak to, like, I look on their LinkedIn and it's like they haven't posted like anything in the last 4 years, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because LinkedIn, I know like it has gone to shit a little bit now, especially with the AI stuff. But I still find that is the most valuable tool in the business, because the people that you can speak to and like find out little nuggets of information, like even if like, I don't know, they prefer renting their clothes on her as opposed to buying them in the shop. Like, that's then a common ground that I've got with somebody that I can then talk about, you know. But yeah, the cold emails, like when they come through and it's like so robotic, so formulaic, and you're like, you don't know anything about me and you don't care.
No, I think it's because like you've got so many like automated tools now and stuff that you can do that on. But I also think as well, like with LinkedIn as a platform, with like the integrations that they built into it now, where it's actively encouraging you to basically like use AI to like respond to people, to even like write your own posts and stuff. So like all of my personal posts on there, like I don't even have a strategy on LinkedIn, be honest. I'm literally just myself. But we've literally got like most of our business of people that were like unknown to us from LinkedIn because of that.
Yeah.
And it's like I never want to change that.
No.
Because like at least then like you kind of have it where like I've had it when I've been to networking events and stuff as well, where like people are connected with me on LinkedIn and they just come up and talk to me like they know me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't know who you are.
Oh my God, I had this. I went to the Better Business Summit a couple of weeks ago in Manchester. I hosted a game like Cards Against Humanity, but called Climate Against Humanity. It was very fun. But I had people coming up to me and they were like, oh, hey Molly, we're connected on LinkedIn. And I'm like, I've got thousands of connections on LinkedIn. Which one are you? And it's like, also, I've got, it's not face blindness. I'm not going to pull that card. I'm not going to be that guy because it's not that. But I think people look so different online than they do in person. And I had a horrendously embarrassing one not long ago. Well, probably this time last year. I was at a business event that had been there for 2 days in Bristol, and we got like a drinks thing after. It was a People Planet Pint event. And this guy came up to him and he was like, oh, hey Molly, it's so lovely to see you. I do not know what possessed me. I grabbed this man's face, full on, and I went, where do I know you from? Face in hands. He said, it's Simeon from Faith in Nature, a client that I work with. I don't work with him now. The project came to an end, it's not for that reason. He was like, we work together? And I was like, he's a creative director of Faith in Nature. I was like, for fuck's sake, Molly. And I was like, oh yeah, you look so different than on Zoom. He was like, I know, like it's wild, isn't it? And I have seen him since and he was cool about it. But you know when you're like, hey, why did I act like that? Like I've never functioned as a human being before. And also how embarrassing. Like, oh. abysmal.
I think I'd cry if someone grabbed my face in their hand.
Genuinely, like, I would as well. I'd be like, oh, what are you doing to me? Like, what a strange thing for me to do. Like,
I've got no excuses for you on that one.
I've got no excuses for me. It was absolutely terrible. I'm just very grateful that I've seen him many times since, and he's been absolutely sound about it. But I was like, oh God, I've given myself an ick.
That's the story that he goes like round and like tells people now, like that's what you're known as. The face grabber.
Like, we try so hard, don't we, to build a personal brand, and can get destroyed in an instant.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was, I try and make an effort not to grab people's faces. I am a very touchy-feely person, though. Like, you know, I'll often, like, hug a client after a meeting, so I think they just expect that from me. Maybe not the face grab.
Maybe not the face grab. No, I'm not really a hugger.
Aren't you? Oh, God, no. Honestly, like, I really can't get it in my head that other people don't behave like that, so I'm like, oh, it was so good to see, and they're like, seizing up in my arms.
No, to be fair, if I go in for a hug with anyone, it's because I genuinely, like, I absolutely adore that person.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm like, don't touch me.
Oh, God, no, I wish I had a bit more restraint in that area, to be honest.
It's so bizarre though, isn't it? I remember once actually, last year I started this business, asked Emma to mentor me, and literally on our like first or second meeting she had invited me to a house, and I must have looked at her like, why are you inviting me to your house? Isn't that like a really like personal thing? Because I invite no one to my house unless they're really close to me. And the fact that like I was just like, this is wild.
This is crazy.
Like, will I be safe if I come? Stranger danger.
Oh God, I get like that. Honestly, like I've got a second meeting with a client later. Well, he's a potential client. It's to get his feedback and see if he wants to work together, which I hope he does. He's lovely. But I do a lot of stuff like in nature with people.
Ah, okay.
And it's normally a team of people, and he's like a solo male founder.
Okay.
And I'm like, he seems fine. But then part of me was like, he lives in Cambridge, and I always go to them because I want them to feel comfortable. I don't want them to have had the stress of like driving to Stoke. So like I'd be going to him, and so it's like we need to find somewhere in nature in Cambridge that is like naturey but also safe. And I was like, I'm sure he's fine. Like, but you like just.
Do you want me to add you on Find My Friends so that we can keep a track?
Yeah, shall we?
Yeah. I'll be your safety buddy.
Yeah, and you when you're going into people's houses.
I'm glad we've got that sorted. So what's next on for Effable? So you've got big plans, you want to grow a team out.
I do. I kind of wrestled with that because I was like, oh, you know, I'm a more agile as one person. And like also like I had this horrendous guilt around making money as a purpose-driven business. Like it felt so icky. So one of my goals, which I haven't really told anybody, I want to have £1 million year, like £1 million turnover. So it's £83,333 a month.
Yeah.
And I really want that. And then I was like, God, am I greedy for wanting that? And it's like, well, actually, I'll be donating a hell of a lot back. I do personally at least 100 volunteering hours a year. So it's like, and I was actually, Simon Blacker, he founded Crystal. He's working on another project now. He's sort of exited that business. And they're like B Corp purpose driven. And he was like, you need capital to make impact.
Yeah.
Like you can't stay small and expect to have a big impact on the world. Like that is counterintuitive. Like, and there's going to be other comms agencies turning over £1 million. So why not you? And it's like, I'm kind of at peace with it now that like, yeah, that is my fucking goal and I'm going to do it and I'm going to do good with that money and work for good people, doing good things in the world and have this gorgeous little ecosystem of magical things happening. So that's the goal for the 2025 financial year.
Nice.
I'd love to end so my financial year will start in April with the solstice. Well, after the solstice, but you know, trying to tell your accountant that you want your financial year to line up with certain events in the year. Equinox, not solstice. Yeah, trying to say, can we make can we change the financial year slightly every year? And they're like, let's just set a date. Let's just set a date for it, mate. And I'm like, damn, okay.
I go January like through to December.
I can't do that. I can't do it. I did have that, and it just like it didn't work for me, and I was like all confused by it, and I was like, I want to like flow with nature, and they're like, best we can do is like March, April. I was like, okay, I can live with that. So yeah, that's the financial year. So the next financial year, I want the £1 million year and to hire 2 members of staff, which are quite like tangible but sound quite boring things. But in terms of like the fluffy and the woo stuff, I think just to really step into the idea of blending the words with the energy. So helping brands to express their energy in a way that feels authentic to them. Because basically I had 2 sides of me, really. I had this like corporate sort of copywriting brand voice side who's worked in comms for over 10 years, and then this really like spiritual woo gentle feminine energy side, like the yoga, the mindfulness, the meditation. And I was like, honestly, it took me about a year to figure out how to blend the 2 together, and then further time to feel confident in doing that, because I felt like an absolute Fruit Loop. And I'm like, you know what, I am a Fruit Loop and I'm proud. Like, I'm a very proud Fruit Loop. But it's like, you know, so now I do spend time in nature with clients. I do meditate with clients and like have like opening circles and closing circles for the time that we spend together. I'm actually doing an opening circle for B Corp month as well. So like online for people to gather, ground their energy, breathe, however you want to word it, just like get into the zone of it. So that's at the end of this month, ready for March. But just really embracing that sort of duality, that the 2 things can be true at the same time. I can be this serious business gal, but also have this like fluffy side as well, and that's okay, and just fully embrace and step into that instead of being shy about it or hiding or being like, no, people think that's too weird. If they think it's too weird, they're not for me, and they probably won't like working with me, and it's best that they know that from the off.
That's so true though, isn't it? I think it brings us back to that whole like sales piece around like convincing people to work with you, but it's like at what cost?
Exactly.
Whereas like I wouldn't go as far as to say like I'm a spiritual issue, but like I really like nice aesthetic things.
Mm-hmm.
I love luxury brands.
Yeah,
like
same.
most of my clients know that I want a Birkin.
Yeah.
Like, I have no qualms going in and telling them that. They always ask me how it's going. It's like, not got one yet.
Still working on it. Pay me a bit more.
No,
the power is in your hands, guys.
Pretty much, yeah.
I love that though. Like, I love that so much. But it's like, I used to feel guilty for wanting both, to have like an impactful business and loving nice things. It's like Mulberry, one of my favourite brands, they're a B Corp, you know, like, so it's, you can have both.
I think as well, like, actually, when you look at, I literally had someone once say, like, why does your branding look like you sell expensive handbags? And it's like, probably because I want one.
I'm manifesting, guys.
But also as well, like, people understand that, like, with luxury goods, like, there's a craftsmanship to it.
Yeah.
And people put a lot of work into it. And not anyone can make a Mulberry handbag.
Exactly.
Or, like, a Kelly, a Birkin. Like, it takes, like, years for them to be at that standard to do it.
Yeah.
So actually, why can't I take elements of those branding to mine when I've literally worked incredibly hard for the last 10 years
Genuinely.
to be at a stage where I can do this? Whereas, like, I think if I just grabbed a logo off Canva, like, anyone can do that.
Exactly. That's such a good analogy as well, isn't it? And I think particularly when you are working, obviously with a handbag, like, you can go and see the factory and see the leather that has been made and like see the people stitching it, and it's like, I think when you look at it from a service-based angle, I find it hard anyway to rationalize it like that, because it's all coming out of my head, and it's like, but really it is, you're not paying for the thing that you're getting, you know, you're paying for like over 10 years of experience of trial and error that's happened like way before you even considered working with us, like thoughts, systems, processes, knowing how to handle it, knowing how to get to the end goal, knowing how to get the information out of you, work it into something and deliver it back to you. Like, that is an art form.
It is an
Marketing
art form.
is an art form. It absolutely is.
I know when people are like, oh, it's a science and it's all numbers, and it's like, yeah, there's an element of that to it, but also, like, it's not, like, it's creativity. Like, there is like a, I guess, like a intangibility to it. One of my favourite books, actually, is A Luxury Alchemist.
Oh, I've not read that.
That's really good. I'll send you a picture of it. I can't remember
please.
the life of me who wrote it off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm in the market for a new New book. I also, I've got a goal of reading 50 books this year, and my stretch goal is 100. But
Oh wow, okay.
yeah, we'll see how that
But yeah,
goes.
The Luxury Alchemist is really good. It's all about like luxury brands and stuff. But actually, I based a lot of the stuff around big reputation on that. That's why we say like we want to create lasting legacies for people. Because like Chanel at the time was so pioneering, but now it's known as this like classic brand.
Yeah.
But she was really innovative when she started.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like just bringing that energy into it. Like,
and I think looking at it from that different perspective as well, like how many marketing and comms agencies do you come across where it does feel like a bit of a churn, that they're doing the same thing day in, day out in the same way, and there isn't really any differentiation in terms of how they approach things. But
we don't
having
have
that,
like products. So like we don't do like this is this platform and we do £750 a month and we'll do all of these. Like I literally do none of that. Every single thing we do for clients is bespoke to them.
Yeah.
That's why we charge more, because it is bespoke. Like if you wanted less, like go to an agency that will give you a pre-packaged solution.
Yeah.
But that's not us. And I think, to be fair, like if someone is doing continuous marketing work, not just like, I guess, like setting a brand up, but if they're doing continuous delivery, and if they're doing that on a pre-packaged structure, that's for their business purposes, not for yours.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
exactly. It's for their convenience more than anything, because it's like, how can they, no two businesses are the same. And like, so we've got like set services that we offer, so like the brand knowing, we've got brand voice, and we've got impact reporting, but the way that is structured for each client is completely different. Because like what one, like impact reports, for example, they're notoriously boring to read, and like no one should put an impact report out that's boring to read. It's completely unnecessary. The world doesn't need it. But unfortunately, it happens because B Corps are required to produce an impact report every year. So somebody scrambles it together, throws some data at it, and out it goes into the world, and it lives on a dusty website. But what a client needs from an impact report will vary from client to client, because they might already have an impact team, so they might just need the story element of it. They might have absolutely nobody, so need like the full shebang and guiding through the entire process, start to finish. But it's like, if I was like, oh, so here's a $5,000, $10,000 and $15,000 impact report option, that's only serving me.
Yeah.
Like, because what if they're like a 12,000? Am I not going to do that for them?
Yeah.
Like, it does feel, and I've worked in agencies where that is the case, where it is just like, these are the things you sell. Genuinely, and you're like, have we not got any flexibility? And they're like, actually, no. You're like, what? What are you on about? So yeah, I think anything like that is very self-serving, and yeah, there's plenty of people who offer it, so happy that we're not them.
Last question then, and this is something I ask everyone. For anyone who's wanting to get into this industry, what advice would you give them?
Oh my God, make yourself the biggest pain in the arse and learn from as many people as you can. I think whether you are sort of 16 and starting out, or 36 and fancying a change of career, just get yourself into as many physical in-person spaces as you can. Obviously, I think the boom of Zoom is brilliant. You know, it allows us to work with clients all over the world. You know, I've got clients in LA. I would love to be in LA with them, but right now I am in Utah and loving life. But it means I've got that flexibility to work with people. But when you're starting out, you need to be in the physical energy of other people, to overhear conversations, to be nosy, to say, can I help with that? Can I learn about that? Like, the only reason that I ever was able to produce a radio show is because I made myself, I was a pain in the bum, but, you know, but in a useful way. Yeah. And, you know, the producer said to me, he was like, oh, do you think you could edit this audio for me by tomorrow? I'd never, ever, ever edited a piece of audio before. And I went, yeah, leave it with me. And I went in the studio, I went on Adobe Audition, and I figured it the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I think, at the risk of sounding 104, I think we've lost some of that along the way, that sort of tenacity and being like, no, I'll figure it out. Like, if I want it, I'll do
you
it.
figure it out, don't you?
Yeah.
That's really good advice. So I mentor some of the people, like I'm part of like Leeds University alumni things, and I've got 3 mentees, and all of them are talking to me about remote jobs. I'm like, it's like, you don't want a remote job. Like, do you realise how fucking miserable you'd be?
Honestly, it's soul destroying. Like, I had to work remote and I was still employed when I was in COVID and sort of loosely freelancing along the side of it to build Effable before I could leave to do it full time. And working remotely, honestly, I felt, and I mean, I had numerous health issues, and like I mentioned a slip disc. My back completely went on me. I wasn't getting enough sunlight. I wasn't drinking enough water. I wasn't speaking to people. And obviously COVID did play a part in that, but then we were remote after that. And it's like we're social creatures. Yeah. We need to be around people, and like I really feed off other people's physical energy. So like I fucking love going to networking events. Like, get me in a room with people because that's when I'm like my shiny self. And like I think you need those spaces and to connect with people. And if you're like, say you're a graduate and you got a remote job, how are you going to have a random little conversation with the person in HR while you're making a cup of tea? You're not.
No.
Like, and just being nosy, asking questions, like being in places you absolutely should not be. So you kind of sit in on that meeting.
Yeah.
Which when you see them all marching into the boardroom, it's like, can I get in on that? You can't do that. Sorry, can I just see everybody's Zoom calendar? Can I please just sit in and be on mute? Like, it's not the same, is it? Like, you just need to be around physical people. And don't get me wrong, I think remote working is brilliant in terms of like accessibility and like, you know, it allowed me then, once I got my head around it, to, you know, go to yoga, go spinning before work and all this stuff. And, you know, before that I was commuting to Manchester every day. So, and it was at Media City. It wasn't even bloody central Manchester. It used to be 2 hours each way. But I did it because I wanted to progress my career. Like, it was like, okay, the sacrifice I'm making, I'm not, oh God, I feel like I have to be careful what you say now, because I'm not saying you should sacrifice your well-being for it, but there is some element of trade-off.
I think so, yeah. My first ever like marketing job was in Manchester. I was up at 5 o'clock every morning so that I could drive to Macclesfield and get the train and be there for 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it's like, I did that for like 20k. It wasn't even a lot of money.
It's like you do it for peanuts, don't you?
Like it's actually costing me to work here.
I'm actually in debt to be here.
And I think that... Yeah, now it's like, one of them, bless her. They're all really nice, but I'm just like, I'm not even that much older than you, and I just feel like you're not living in the real world.
Genuinely, doesn't it make you feel like, I'm guessing we're a similar age.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't it make you feel like a grandma when, like, it's like this sort of new age of working where it's like, I want it to be 4 days a week. I want 2 hours for my lunch every day. I want it to be completely and utterly remote and to never see another human being. Absolutely don't want to see clients in person. And you're like, for fuck's sake, give me something to work with.
Yeah. It's like, how are you ever going to date a client if you never meet them?
Exactly. How am I going to get a yacht?
Well, Molly, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for making me laugh more than any guest ever had.
Thank you.
Bloody hell.